Welcome everybody to our Monday night shiur. Before we start, thank you to our sponsor. Hashem yivarech otcha.
Amen.
B'chol medemetav.
Amen.
May everything that you're going through pass smoothly. B'zat Hashem yivarech.
Amen.
Kol ha'yushol, v'kol ha'brachot, v'kol ha'atzlachot.
Amen.
And I also want to make an announcement. You know, we're on our third to last week of Shovavim. Usually this would be the last week. Mishpatim.
2 more weeks, right?
Right. In 2 more weeks. No, not this week. With this week, it's 3. So, this Shabbat is going to be Rosh Chodesh. Friday, Saturday. Friday, Yom Shishi, and Shabbat is Rosh Chodesh. On Shabbat, Mishenichnas Hadar Marbin Besimcha. So they ask a question, what's Marbin Besimcha? Right?
Let's start by hand.
Yeah, for you, it's enough to drink Coca-Cola. For you. What's Mishin Nichnas Adar Marbim Besimcha? So there's a lot of questions. What's Marbim Besimcha? But really, the answer is, since we just finished the Shovavim period and you're supposed to be clean from all your Pagam HaBrits already, so you're supposed to be Besimcha. Because once you fix your breed, then all the Shefa comes down. So Mishin Nichnas Adar, that's why Adar is such a blessed month, since a lot of Klal Yisrael do Tikkunim, Mechazek et Atzma, B'Shemirat HaBrit, Shemirat Enayim, Kirat Shema Lamita, all these things. So therefore, when Adar comes, Marbin Besimcha. What's the Simcha? So the Chachamim say, some poskim right, you have to add a cup of wine when you drink. Cup of wine. On Shabbat, you drink 1 cup of wine, have 2 cup of wine. Yeah. You drink 3, have 4. Add a cup of wine. So, but the problem is, on Rosh Chodesh, Nichnas Adar. When is Nichnas Adar? On Rosh Chodesh. Marbin, but this year it's on Shabbat. So Marbin Besimcha. So the question is, but we know that Yain causes a lot of, not just Yain, anything with a high alcohol level causes not such good things. Anger, Hirurim Ra'im, stuff like that. So why laziness, Tapatach, Bitul Torah. So why Mishin Nichnas Adar Marbin we add the Yain? Simple. Since you went through Shovavim already, and you've at least did a lot of, you fixed a lot, right? So therefore, Mishin Nichnas Adar, when a tzaddik drinks wine, Nichnas Yain, Yatza, Sod. By a tzaddik, Nichnas Yain, Yatza, Sod. So when a tzaddik drinks, he drinks, Sodot HaTorah come out. The opposite of a Rasha. By Rishayim, when they drink Yain, or anything with that, they become Chas v'Shalom Behemot. But Tzadikim Nichnas Yain Yatza. So if you don't think you got to that level of Tzidkut already, you didn't get to that level, so maybe you should lay off the Yain until Purim. Alright? Now, this year Purim is going to fall in Adar Bet. Second Adar. Anything that usually fell on Adar 1 goes to Adar Bet. That doesn't mean Adar Aleph, the first Adar, is not a holy month. It's not a happy month. It is a happy month. It's a very happy month. Now the thing is, in Adar Aleph, that's coming up, what we said this shiur is, how does the Torah and the mitzvoth correspond to our bodies, to the human body? It's a very, very deep concept. By the whole Sod, the whole Kabbalah, is based on 2 different Torahs. One Torah of the Ariyah Kadosh, which he doesn't delve deep into, it's called Chokhmat HaTziruf. What's Chokhmat HaTziruf? It's called the Chokhmah, the wisdom of configurations. Right? Let's say, for example, what's one of the highest jobs in those FBI, CIA places? Password crackers. People who could crack passwords. Hackers. Now, hacker is only if it's on the web, it's on the net. It's right, but there are people that are able to crack locks, keys, codes, or they have the manual ones. They're able to count and hear and do all these kind of weird stuff to crack the code, right? That's called, they're able to figure out the configurations, right? That's a very high level chokhmah. That's the chokhmah of the Ab Shemot, the 72 letter name of Hashem. that Moshe split the sea with. That's called Ab Shemot, 72 letters. That was in Parashat B'Shalach. That's a very high level. The Ari HaKadosh talks very little about that, in maybe 2-3 pages. The rest of the whole book of the Ari, Rabbeinu Hari, talks about how the human body itself corresponds to the Olamot Elyonim, to the upper supernal spheres. How does it correspond? So about the letters now, the knowing the letters, how the letters work is very high level, because that way, you can know a person's name, his mother's name, and you could figure out in the configurations what his tikkun is, what his gilgul is, what he needs to do, if he matches with this neshama, matches with that neshama, should he go into partners with that, right? It's called the power of configurations. Very little people in this world know this. The Baba Sali, for example, who didn't hear Rabbeinu Baba Sali. This Kabbalah was very much by the Moroccan Jews, the Mugrab. They used to be very big in this. They have a book called Sefer HaMalchut. It deals only in this, how to figure out configurations. Very tough book to learn, because nobody learns. You can't even open up the book, it's just letters over there. You don't even know what he's saying. So, the Baba Sali, one time, he was from Mugrab. He disagreed with the Sephardi Mekubalim in Yerushalayim. He disagreed with them. He said the main Kabbalah is not just to learn how do the worlds correspond to your body, and to serve Hashem through your body. And basically, you know what a marionette is? The guy is on the top and he's playing the puppet from the top and he's moving the puppet. Mm-hmm. So in this world, it's the opposite. You're down here, but you're the puppet master down here, and you're moving it from the bottom, right? So it's the opposite thing, right? So Baba Sali says that's not the main thing what to know in life, how to move everything with your kavanah, with your thought, with your avodat Hashem. The main thing is to know the shemot of Hashem, how to figure out the letters, the configurations, and to be the password cracker, you got to know how to crack the passwords. So when the Mekubalim of Yerushalayim came to visit him once, his grandson of Avram Mugrab, he says this story. He says when they came to visit him, he was in Yeshivat Porat Yosef, and he used to bring them to visit them all the time to his house. And when they would leave, he used to say, these people don't know Torah Hasod. They don't know what they're talking about. Totally different, playing field, level field, totally different avodat Hashem. Rabbeinu Baba Sali, how did he get to that level, by the way? If you want to figure out the configurations, which is the highest level, first you have to work on the body. How do you match your body with Hashem's worlds, right? From the bottom. You got to work from the bottom to the top, not from the top to the bottom. In Torah Hasod, we have this idea, not an idea, that's what the Ari HaKadosh teaches us from the Zohar HaKadosh, Parashat Naso, that before Hashem created this world, He destroyed worlds and then recreated them. Destroyed worlds and recreated them. And from the garbage heap on the swamp, basically, He built this world, which is called Olam HaTikun, the fixed world, which He doesn't destroy, right? Because there were Kabbalists, and not only Kabbalists believed in this, some Hindus believe in this too, that this world is the second world. Basically, the world is going to go through 7 cycles, right? And this world, the first world was the world of Chesed, where the dinosaurs were, and this and that. And then it got destroyed. It went through an evolution cycle, and now the world became uplifted. Now we're the humans, sophisticated humans. Then the world, that's called the 7 Shmitot. Guess who believes in this too? The Or HaChaim HaKadosh. The Or HaChaim believes in this too, and Rabbeinu Bachya brings this down. They hold that the world goes through 7 Shemitah cycles. That's basically 7 times 7,000. Every 7,000 is 1 Shemitah. So we're right now in the second Shemitah. That means 7,000 passed already. That was the first Shemitah. That was Shmitat HaChesed, where everybody just did whatever they wanted. Chesed. Now we're Shmitat HaGvura. That's why Rabbeinu, the Or HaChaim says, that's why you see this world is so full of suffering and wars and destructions. Shmitat HaGvura. And then in the year 7,000, as the Gemara says, it will be destroyed. And there's going to be a new Shemitah, right? Till the 7th Shemitah. 7 times 7. Then it's going to be the Yovel. The Yovel. Then Tchiat HaMetim, whatever. I don't know. It's a very deep and convoluted theory that they have. And it's based on the Mekubalim HaKadmonim, but the only problem is the Ari HaKadosh said that it's false.
It's what?
It's false. It's fake. He said, don't believe in it.
It's theory.
It's a wrong theory. He says there is no 7 Shemitah. This is the only Shemitah.
So what
This is the imagine the power of the Ari HaKadosh. You have 1,000 Mekubalim saying this is what it is. And you have the Ari HaKadosh on the other hand. No, there is nothing like that.
He didn't believe the worlds were destroyed before?
No, the worlds were destroyed, he said. It wasn't physical worlds. Those were called the Sfirot. The Sfirot were destroyed and rebuilt. Destroyed and rebuilt. God's Midot. God broke 7 Midot and rebuilt them. 7 Midot and rebuilt them. He broke them and rebuilt them. Then he built this world on the swamp. Why did he build the world on the swamp, says Rabbeinu Ha'ari? I mean, where else in the Torah do we find that the cities were built on swamps? In Egypt, so it's the same connection basically. That those planets are basically moved because of you. Let's not deal with those planets. Yeah, those planets are all for you, by the way. All the Milky Way and all the galaxies and all the stars, they're all for you. But all those galaxies that you see, it's only the Malchut of Asiyah. It's not even the Yesod of Asiyah yet. You understand what's going on between? It's light years between the Olamot, light years. And your neshama travels it in seconds. Your neshama needs to go to Gan Eden, because where is Gan Eden? If this world is Malchut of the Malchut, where is Gan Eden, says the Ari? It's in the Bina of Asiyah. That means between Malchut and Bina, there is 7 Sfirot. That means it has to travel the light years of 7 Sfirot just to reach Gan Eden Atachton. And the bottom Gan Eden. And then from Gan Eden Atachton, if you have the Zechut, you can reach Gan Eden Ha'elyon. The upper Gan Eden, that's in the world of Bria. And if you're what we call a soul with wings, there's only special neshamot that are called a soul with wings. Those are neshamot from Olam HaAtzilut. Then you get to go to what we call Olam HaAtzilut, the Yud of Shem Havaya, which is the highest form of Gan Eden. It's only special neshamot go over there. But you have to get wings to go over there. Right? Some neshamot, they fly without wings. Some neshamot, how do we know this? Rabbi Yehuda Ftaya. Remember Rabbi Yehuda Ftaya? When he was dealing with the dibuks, when he would speak to the souls, right? Inside the people's bodies. So one of the souls, one of the girls that was there, her name was Katun. Katun. She was a very big Rishayit. The girl's name was Katun. The woman in her name was Rosa. Rosa. So same woman. So Rosita, she did a lot of znut with her neighbor. Till from Shamayim they said, listen, I can't let the guy fall in the Avera anymore. So she drops dead, and then she hides inside this girl's body. By the way, how did she get inside the girl's body? And you guys remember the story? Because the girl was so depressed because she was an orphan from her father. And she lived with her aunt, and her aunt used to beat her. From the depression, the neshama found an opening to go inside of her. How bad is depression? By the way, but you know the Ari HaKadosh says in Shara Gilgulim, 3 things cause a person to lose his neshama. Lose it. He gets a new neshama mamash. You guys know what these 3 things are? When you say anger, don't just say anger, because we're all pretty angry people. We're Sephardim.
When you break something.
Anger means you get so angry, you take the thing. You know, like the goyim do in their bars when they get angry, they start to break the whole thing down. Like this anger, to lishbor kelim, to break kelim. That's number 1. Number 2, if you do nefilat apayim without kavana. You know what nefilat apayim is? After we say Ana Hashem, right? And then we say Vayahu Hashem al pana vayikra. And then after that we say LeDavid Elecha Hashem, right? We sit down, everyone's quiet, we say LeDavid Elecha Hashem. Right? So back in the day, the right way to do it is not the way basically Sfaradim do it completely the wrong way. This is the one thing we do completely wrong.
We don't do nothing.
Right? Exactly. The Ashkenazim, pay attention, they go like this, right? Like this they do. Right? Or some even go down on the table like this. But that's also not the right way. The right way, mamash, is to fall on the floor.
Like Yom Kippur?
Mamash, like on Yom Kippur. Like we fall on Yom Kippur. Like this we have to do it. Mamash lipol al apayim. That's the right. That's the way they used to do it in the Beis HaMikdash. Nefilat apayim.
It's more respectful.
No, it's the halacha. It's called, because what are we doing in Nefilat apayim? What are we doing over there?
You're going down.
Basically,
Taking the souls.
remember I just told you Hashem creates worlds and destroys them? And then Hashem built the world on a swamp. So the reason he built the world on the swamp, because under the swamp there's treasure. There's a lot of treasure over there.
Which is the Neshama.
And so only the special neshamot of Am Yisrael could go deep down inside the garbage and take out the treasure. And then we create worlds ourselves. So Hashem says, I want you to be like me. I also want you to create worlds. Because the only way you can really be in a relationship with me is if you understand, if you have the same goals. So I'm going to give you the same goal. I created worlds, now you're going to create worlds. So he created the world on the dumpster, and in the dumpster, there is sacks of gold, and silver, and treasure, and diamonds. And you go down there and you pick them up. When do you do that? So we're going to learn today. B'ezrat Hashem, every mitzvah that you do is another piece of the diamond that you pick up and you create a world from it. Now sometimes you create a world without a roof, a house without a roof. Sometimes without a garden. Sometimes you make yourself a small apartment. All depends how you made the mitzvah. If you pray shacharit, let's say at 11 o'clock in the afternoon, when there's 30 minutes left till Chatzot, and it's b'di'avad, shela b'di'avad, and it's a safek if you could even do that, right? Then what you built yourself is a small shack in California, where all the homeless people are. But it's still a shack, right? If you daven before Zman Kriyat Shema, before Zman Tefillah, you build yourself a nice apartment. In, I don't know, some place in Denver. You know, you got yourself a small little complex over there. But it's a nice place, nice view. If you pray Bazman, which is what? What's the Lechatchila Tefillah? Netz. Right? Netz is Lechatchila. If you pray Lechatchila B'Netz, then you built yourself a nice house in Fresh Meadows, in Yerushalayim, Court Myers. You built yourself a nice place. If you do it with Kavana, you got yourself Versace tiles over there. You do it with Kavanat Hasod. The bathrooms there, the sink there is made out of gold. As Rav Chaim with a bidet. Rav Chaim Vital, when he died, he almost died once. He had a near-death experience, Rav Chaim Vital. So they showed him his place in Gan Eden. It's like mamash what I just described to you. Wow. They show you your place over there, and it's what you built.
Like a house.
Like houses with gardens, and it's like a spiritual thing. But he describes it like that. And they don't let anyone near it. So his wife wanted to go inside his house. Wow. His first wife was not such a nice woman. Her name was Chana. I've told you guys this before. She used to give him a little hell. And when his wife wanted to go inside his place, he said, no, this is not a place for you to go. Only special people go inside over here. You understand? And then they showed him his place in yeshiva, how he sits next to Shmuel, how he sits in Shmuel Hanavi's place. Wow. And he sees how HaKadosh Baruch Hu is teaching everybody like a Rebbe over there. It's all mashalim. It's all a mashal. But the point is, that's called Gan Eden HaTachton. That's when he died and they showed him his place in Gan Eden HaTachton. Then there's a place in Gan Eden HaElyon. A beautiful thing that they told him over there when he died almost. When he got up there, Ariel, when he got up there, Hashem told him, he said, you don't have a choice to mess up. You don't have a choice to mess up. I'm not giving up on you. I sent you down here in this world for a reason. Now I let you see what's waiting for you over here, because I want you to remember it, and I want you to know what you're capable of reaching and doing. And Rav Chaim Vital saw this before he met the Ari HaKadosh. Wow. Before he met him. Because for like 2 years he didn't learn Torah. He learned Torah, I'm sure, but he wasn't steiging. He was working most of the time. He was an alchemist. He used to deal with chemical compounds. That's why his book, Sefer Refuot, he has all these experiments that he did. How do you make fire light in water? How do you turn metal into gold? All this kind of weird alchemy stuff. And whatever happened was, one day he was saying Kiddush, and he was in the middle of Kiddush, he was crying so much in the Kiddush, he fell asleep on the table, and he said, my neshama came out. And Eliyahu Hanavi took me to Gan Eden, and they told him in the dream, you're going to get sandak very soon, that's how you're going to know this dream is true. Or it was an out-of-body experience. But my point is, in Shamayim, they don't give up on anybody over there. My point is also that see what you built by doing the mitzvah that you do. Everything that you do, you're building something. There's no kind of thing. Even walking outside could be a mitzvah. Walking outside, taking 4 amot. When you take 4 steps outside, 4 amot. You could do a mitzvah. How do you make a mitzvah? Every step is 1 amma. 1 amma, yeah? How do you spell amma? Aleph Mem Hey. It's going to be Gematria 46. What name of God is 46? Milui Shem Ab. You see the top name over there? Shem Ab? If don't take the Yud Kei Vav Kei, just take the filling of the name. The Vav Daled, the Yud Vav and the Yud. What do you get? Exactly 46 Amma. Says Rabbeinu Ha'ari, every time you walk outside, you take a step, you got to think Vav Daled Yud, Yud Vav Yud. Vav Daled Yud, Yud Vav Yud. Vav Daled Yud, it's called Arba Amot. And like this, you're fixing Partzuf Le'ah in Shamayim. Kesher Shem Tefillin. Like this. So even while you're walking, you could do a mitzvah. Not only that, says Rabbeinu Ha'ari, while you're walking outside, you could be doing more than a guy learning in yeshiva. Just by looking on the floor, you could make a zivug. You think zivug is only man and a woman, male and female, organisms. No, zivug could even be you and the floor. You're a male, and the ground is Mother Earth. It's a nukva. By looking down on the floor, you could think Yud Aleph, Am the Havaya, and the floor is the Amonai. You could think Yud Aleph, Hey Dal, then Vav Nun, Hey Yud, and you made a zivug. It's every step that you're doing, you could be doing a yichud. You understand? Imagine a person does this for 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. What is he going to turn into? The Baba Sali. Now you know why the Baba Sali was the Baba Sali. Now you know why. What do you think he was doing the whole time? Thinking what's the next restaurant he's going to go see? With the Beit Yosef. The Baba Sali, by the way, his grandson, Rav Mugrabi, says a story about him. So they asked him, how did the Baba Sali used to act on Shabbat? How was his actions on Shabbat Kodesh? He said, the Baba Sali wouldn't speak on Shabbat. He wouldn't speak on Shabbat. Only behechrech. So what he used to do, he's on the table, he had kids, kids. I think he was at once married to 2 women at the same time. He had, I think, 4 wives altogether, something like that. So he said, Baba Sali used to have his own table on the side, just so you shouldn't speak with anybody. He said, why? He said, there are 3 things you're not allowed to speak while it's happening. Why? It's Bichinat Chokhmah. It's the highest sphira, Chokhmah. What? Number 1, Chazarat Shliach Tzibur. When the Tzibur is repeating the thing, you're not allowed to make a peep. You know what a peep is? A shmeep.
Can I zoom in?
You could zoom in. You can't make a peep while the Chazarat Shliach. By the way, first of all, during the week, it's amazing here. On Shabbat, yeah, there's always a little bit of work to do. But I was at places, you can't even hear the Chazan. If you're sitting in the back, you can't even hear the Chazan. You understand? I'm Kav Zechut, of course, but I'm just letting you know that. So sometimes it's better to go to that smaller place where you could have more kavanah to the Chazan and more the Shliach Tzibur kavanah on you. Then you go to a big place and everybody's talking. But the point is, I don't want to say Tinukot Shenoshbu, but during the Chazara of Shliach Tzibur, it's Bichinat Chokhmah, Ora Chokhmah. Ora Chokhmah is called Kadosh, Kiddusha, Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. You're not allowed to make a peep. Anybody know what's the second thing? What's the second thing that's Bichinat Ora Chokhmah? Kiryat Sefer Torah. Kiryat Sefer Torah is Bichinat Ora Chokhmah. You're not allowed to... Mikveh is something else. You shouldn't be speaking in the mikveh anyways. Bichinat Ora Chokhmah in the Sefer Torah, the Torah itself is Sfirat HaChokhmah. It's the Yesod of the Chokhmah. It's the Yesod of the Chokhmah, of Abba. When the Sefer Torah is being read, you don't know what kind of Refu'ah, Kedusha, Tahara you're bringing on yourself, specifically yourself, by hearing the Shliach Tzibur read the Torah. Just for anyone here that is a Bal Koreh or anytime reads the Torah, it's such an amazing thing reading the Torah. I was learning about it in this Sefer, in real depth, Sefer right here. He was talking about reading of the Torah over here, something like amazing stuff. He says, in the name of the Kerem Shlomo, Rav Salman Eliyahu, Rav Mordechai Eliyahu's father, he says that the Shliach Tzibur, when he reads the Torah, his reading the Torah is not completed until the Tzibur hears the Torah from him. Let's say a person is in the shul. He wants to take out the Torah and read from it. Is he allowed to? He's not allowed to. You need 10 men to read the Torah. Why do you need 10 men? Because without them hearing the Torah, the Kriyat Torah is not completed. Now, Kabbalistically, Kadosh, it's deeper than that. Why? Remember I told you God created worlds and destroyed them? Why were those worlds destroyed? Why? What was missing from them, Gabriel? Torah? Those worlds are the Torah. Why were they destroyed? They were missing 3 kinds of shefas. 3 kinds of shefas. One is called, because it's so high level, it's called Orot HaOzen Chotem Peh. Ozen Chotem Peh. Now, the 7 worlds that God destroyed before He created this physical world, it's hinted to the human body as the hands, the torso, the legs, and the brit. The lower body, the midot, from the garon, from the neck down. Why? This part of your body, that's where your emotions are, your heart, your ta'ava is, your blood, the animalistic side. That's where the shibira happens, the breaking happens, where there's always a fight in your body. The head wants something, but the heart wants something else. Who's going to win? Yetzer HaTov or Yetzer Hara? The bottom part of your body always wants enjoyment. Give me ta'ava, ta'ava, ta'ava. The mind has to say to himself, I want the ta'ava, but I don't need the ta'ava. I actually don't need the ta'ava. I know the ta'ava is going to give me in the long run something bad. So the head has to overcome the body. In Sod, we call the head Chabad. Chokhmah, Bina, and Da'at. And we call the bottom part Chesed, Givura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, Malchut. Or in short, Vak. You have Vak, and you have Chabad. Chabad always has to control the Vak. If the Chabad doesn't control the Vak, what happens to the Vak? It destroys the Chabad. And again, you break worlds. And again, you're breaking worlds. It means you could either create worlds while you're alive, or you could break worlds while you're alive, right? Now, the point of the Chabad is, your Chokhmah, Bina, and Dat, is to be so in control of the Vak that it turns the Vak into Chabad. What happens when you turn your Vak into Chabad? You turn into the Baba Sali, you know what I mean? You become such a clear crystal vessel that you don't have ta'avot anymore. You don't want ta'avot anymore. You don't feel. Now, this happens gradually in a religious person's life. Now, I don't like to use the word religion because there's many religions out there, but just for a lack of a better word, I'm just going to use religion. So a person grows in Torah and mitzvoth. He starts off as a kid. He does mitzvoth because he's forced to. He doesn't feel anything in it without any... He does it because everyone's doing it. He's part of the community. He doesn't want to be out of the community. He wants to be part of the community. He might like a girl that's religious, will be religious for her. You know those guys, I'm going to get married, I'm going to keep Shabbat. He does it for some... And he's a vak. He's a baby. He's immature. Right? He grows a little older. Suddenly, sometimes I talk with kids. When they're younger, they used to watch a lot of television. TV shows, this, that. Suddenly they get to age of 22, 23, 24, they get a little adult, they're like, how the heck did I waste my time watching this garbage? Like, it just something clicks in their head. Like, it was such a waste of time and stupidity and nonsense, and it was just mamash zevel, right? Then he grows a little older, and then he sees another ta'ava, let's say goyisha music. Some people, when they're very young, some people never grow out of this. They're stuck in this ta'ava, they're always in that vak. They're in that vacuums. They're always stuck in that, and their Chabad can never control it. Some people, as they grow older, let's say, for example, let's take the worst kind of non-Jewish music, rap. Right? And it's not even music, right? It's just klipa. It's pure klipa. So a person is younger, he likes all this Tupac, Shmupak, Bibi, Shmubi, Dubi, He goes older, so he's like, what did I listen to? Such stuyot, such nonsense. It's not even words. He grows out of it. Why? Gradually, naturally, his Chabad is taking over his Vak. Now there is higher ta'avot. What? Ta'avat ha'achila. Ta'avat ha'money. Just the money. Food.
The hardest.
When a person is younger, he's a beast. He's always growing. His Vak needs to grow, so it's always telling him, feed me. He wants to eat and eat and eat. Before he sleeps, he eats. When he wakes up in the morning, he eats. He goes to breakfast, he has 2 breakfasts. So I see how kids eat in the yeshiva. So much they eat. I'm like, gesundheit. Gesundheit, but wow, when you grow older, suddenly, if you get out of this, some people, they never get out of this ta'ava. They're stuck with it, and their Vak will always be in control of their Chabad. Their Chabad is just... They'll never grow out of it, right? Then there's a more deeper ta'ava, ta'avat ha'nashim, ta'avat ha'mishgal. Ta'avat ha'nashim is a very high ta'ava, right? Ta'ava of a woman, right? Or it's not really ta'ava of a woman, it's the ta'ava of release, right? To give. It's really a kosher ta'ava. Right? But to use it in a not good way, right? Exactly. So this ta'ava you could never defeat, says the Gemara.
More than who?
You'll never defeat it. Ever. The Gemara says some of this world falls in gezer. Being a robber. But kosher robber. You know? He steals, they're not looking here, not looking there. Oh, he didn't see, it was in my pocket, Gezel. But all of this world falls in hirhure avera. That means hirhure avera is almost inescapable. It's really a ta'ala that you have to mamash fight for, right? Even when he gets old, he could still have it. Well, there's chaser people when they get old, they do shtuyot. Please do me a favor. It's maleh, these kind of things. But it's still possible to win it. But what's my point? You have to fight. Who's going to win? The Chabad or the Vak? Now, the Chabad is also called, there's 3 openings in the Chabad.
Your mouth, your nose, and your ear.
Your mouth, your nose, and your ear. The eyes don't count. Why? The eyes are special. It's an opening that ingests in it, it takes in it, but you don't feel that it's taking in, right? You're always catching pictures in your eye, but you never get tired, right? Your eyes can never get tired, you can see forever, right? Your ears, your nose, and your mouth, it has to stop, take it. Hitpashtut, histalkut. Hitpashtut, histalkut, right? It takes in, takes out, it has to, right? Also your ears, right? If it's too loud, you gotta close them, you cannot. Right? So in the Vak, what shefa was the Vak missing in the upper worlds that it caused it to break? The Ozen, the Chotem, or the Peh?
I would say the noise.
The Peh? The Peh, you can't stop the shefa. Why? Peh has to be constant. You need to breathe.
Nose.
Right? The nose, also, if you don't have a nose, how are you going to breathe?
The ear.
But what's the more, it's the holiest, What does the wife say when the husband doesn't? He doesn't listen to me. Yeah. What do everybody says? How do relationships break? Doesn't listen to me. You're not listening to me. Right, selective hearing. You're not paying attention to me. Right? People talk all the time. People smell and breathe all the time. But what's missing? Orot ha'ozen. Do you know how you bring back the orot ha'ozen in this world? That shefa of the ozen that was missing. Says Rabbeinu Kerem Shlomo, by listening to the Shliach Tzibur reading the Torah. How was that?
That was a whole thing.
That was only just to get to that. I have to build it up, right? That means, do you guys hear what's the power of you being in the Tzibur, just listening to the Kriyat Sefer HaTorah? And not only on Shabbat, on Mondays and Thursdays, Ribbono Shel Olam. You're good at that, right? Mondays and Thursdays too.
So we cannot read anything else.
While the reading the Torah is going on, you can't do anything else unless you want to do Shnayim Mikra and you're reading with the Chazan.
What if a person catch up with the prayer?
No, you can't. I'm reading during the reading of the Torah. During the reading of the Torah, you have to be
100%.
all ears on the Chazan. And by doing so, you're bringing back Orot HaOzen, that shefa of Chabad that was missing, to the Sefer Torah, which is you. You're the Sefer Torah. You're a living... I want to ask you guys a question. How come we rip our clothes when a person dies?
Suffering.
We want to suffer? Okay, rip the pants. Rip the, I have an expensive iPhone, break it. Why rip the clothing?
It's close to the heart.
Do you know what else we rip our clothing for? When a Sefer Torah is burned. When a Sefer Torah is destroyed. So says Rashi, just like a Sefer Torah, a human is also like a Sefer Torah. Just like you rip when a Sefer Torah, so too you have to rip your clothes when a Jewish person passes away. You see what you are? Now, in your body, it's extremely powerful. Everything in your body has a remez, a hint to the world's, the midot, the characteristics of Hashem. How so? For example, for example, let's do it in general. Says Rabbeinu Ha'ari, right? First of all, how do we know in the Gemara that the human body is connected to the Torah? I mean, every piece of a human body is corresponding to one mitzvah. How do we know that? The Gemara Masechet Makot says the Torah gave us 365 mitzvot, lo ta'aseh, negative commandment, and 248 mitzvot, aseh. The 365 is connected to 365 days a year, says the Gemara. What are 248 corresponding to?
Limbs.
248 limb parts of your body. So already we hear in the Gemara that every mitzvah corresponds to one part of your body. That means, besides for going to the doctor if a person gets sick, or taking medication, or doing his hishtadlut, a person also has to know that in his body, what caused the sickness was not that he went outside without a scarf. Many people go. You ever see some people go outside in the winter, especially in the city, without anything on, but they still don't get sick, right? Some people, one time he walks outside without a scarf, that's it. He gets sick. Why? Every person has a different cheshbon in shamayim, but it's the avera that's gorem. A certain avera that he did that caused the ripple effect that made him go outside without a scarf and made him get sick. So what should he do besides for taking antibiotics? He has to do teshuvah. And once he does teshuvah, like for example, the Chachamim say, I don't know where, don't quote me on this. He says how some women they suffer a lot during childbirth. Some women, it's out. Why? Some women suffer and some kids more, some kids less. So says the Chachamim, and I don't know where, it could be a Ramami Pano. It depends how they were involved in Chet of Chava. When Chava, Eve, she gave Adam to eat from the Etz Hadat, right? She gave it to him. So Hashem said to her, from now on, Be'etzef til dibanim. You're gonna feel the child. You're gonna feel the birth pangs. So the nishamot of the woman that were involved in this sin more than everyone else, they go through more of the birth pangs of the Be'etzem til dibani. And those people, what does it say by Adam HaRishon? V'kotz v'dardar tatzmiach. Anything you touch, the opposite of gold. You put in wheat, it comes out a thorn. You put in the barley, it comes out an orange. Whatever you want, the opposite comes out. Your guy has no success in Parnasah. That's what the bracha. That was the bracha to Adam, right? So that was where the people that were very inside, deep into the chet of Adam HaRishon. Because it's an interesting connection. My point is that everything really has a more spiritual source to why it's happened. For example, I told you guys this once before. The Ari says, how come a person's shoulders hurt? His shoulder. Right? Because he made the Avera of speaking between Netilat Yadayim and Birkat HaMazon. Mayim Achronim and Birkat HaMazon. Speaking during Mayim Achronim between Mayim and Birkat HaMazon could cause, if it gets too big, the Se'ah, he doesn't do Teshuvah, that it'll cause suddenly pain in his shoulders. It'll cause suddenly pain in his shoulders. Now, in general, those are the 248 mitzvot. Now, says there's a book over here. This book was written by Rabbi Sasson Mordechai, Shandoch. He was the original Mikubal of Bavel. Before the Ben Ish Chai. It's during the Ben Ish Chai's father, grandfather. This is Ben Ish Chai is at least 120 years ago.
1700?
No, we're talking about late 1800s. Late 1800s, okay? Now he wrote a book and he put every mitzvah and Aveira in that part of the body.
Interesting, wow.
That part of the body. For example, he writes, for example, whoever eats nevelot, not kosher, kasher, but it's not glat kasher, like this. He's pogem baveshet, in the esophagus. It's keneged the esophagus.
Cool.
The food pipe. Yeah? It's keneged the food pipe, right? Whoever he writes, I get it wrong?
It's like heartburn?
Huh? It doesn't say what exactly was going to happen. It could be many things. It could be many things. He says over here, whoever speaks Chanifa is flattering. You know those guys who see somebody who's rich, suddenly he's his best friend, and he flatters him, even though he's not doing the right thing. He flatter. He's pogem balashon. Pagam in the lashon. Right? He writes, whoever uses Kabbalah Ma'asit, chas v'shalom, yeah, Kabbalah Ma'asit, he's pogem badam. In the blood. In your blood. Right? How do cancerous cells happen? The blood cells, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, they start to get deformed. Right? They get tumors, they mass up, they get tumors. This could be a reason for that. I don't know. A person, chas shalom, is pogem in Abba ve'ima. Let's say this week's parasha, right? We have two mitzvoth that are very, very extreme. If a person curses his parents, he has to die. And if a person makes his parents bleed, also, he has to die. Very, very extreme punishments. What do you mean? What's the difference? He's religious right? What if a person has a job? He's thrown a job. He didn't know that was his thing, but he didn't do it. You're fired. I'm sorry, but what you pogem when you pogem Abba ve'ima and Abba and Ima, you're pogem in the two sides of your brain. That's how high it goes. Chokhmah and Bina.
Wow.
Exactly. You understand? That's why the tikkun for that, by the way, you have to find something that connects to Chokhmah and Bina at the same time. For example, I know it's on the tip of your tongue. It's not on the tip of your tongue. Rimonim. When you put the Rimonim on the Sefer Torah, that's Chokhmah and Bina on Za. On the Vak.
Gotcha.
You understand? See, the Sefer Torah is Vak. Right? It's missing Chokhmah and Bina. So besides for the Shliach Tzibur reading it, which is and you're listening, you'll also physically put on the Kli. What's the Kli? The Rimonim. That's how it's very high. Baba Sali wouldn't give, I'm sorry, the Baba Sali wouldn't give anyone to do it. He himself used to do it.
Wow.
That's what I heard. Okay? Anyways, this is a book that talks about these. Now, there are ways to fix these things. For example, remember we talked about many times in the shul, in the shiurim, pardinim, mansapach, right? The source of all the din is what? Mansapach dinim, right? The mem sofi, mem, nun, tzadik, pei, chaf, right? How do you clean that? Says Rabbeinu Ari, the secret of the mansapach is inside your tears. Your tears. That's why our tefillot don't get accepted. But the Gemara says, if you cry when you pray, it's accepted. Says Rabbeinu Ari, since what we did, we clogged up the mansapach. When we cry when we pray, that's why they're salty. When they come out, all the dinim come out. And then your tefillah could go straight up. You understand? And there's other things a person can do. Tikkun chatzot, by the way, tikkun chatzot is a very big thing to accept your tefillot. Tikkun chatzot, sak va'efer, to wear sak. Ta'anit, it's a very high level thing. Teshuvah, obviously don't do the avera anymore. I mean, we're saying all these things. First step is you gotta stop doing the avera, right? I was reading Rabbeinu Ha'ari over here. Just bear with me over here. Look what happens to your body. Look how it's pogem when the person does this avera. He says, Chazal Amru, says this is Rabbeinu Ari in Sha'ar Ruach HaKodesh. Chazal Amru, haba ala goya, one who's with a goya, kishurabo kakelev, she is tied to him like a dog. Kakelev. That means, the dog, so what happens is, what is this dog? How is a dog to this? What are you guys, this is not politically correct over here. What is it? The answer is, there is in Kedusha also something that has the same gematria as dog. What is it? If you take God's name, 26, right? 26. Times it by 2. What do you get? 52. What's the numerical value of Kelev? 52. So if you don't take your Jewish woman, which is your wife, what do you get instead? A Kelev. You get the connection? Now that's see the last name in the parochet? Yeah. See, now you guys know why I put it in the parochet. The last name over there, Shem Ben, it's called. Shem Ben. Right? That's the Kiddusha. The exact opposite in the klipa is called a kelev. Okay? That's why when you say Kriyat Shema Lamita every night, when you say Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed, you have to think as if you have a sword and you're killing the kelev. There's a kelev, right? It's keneged the Yesod de Kedusha. You have to have kavanah that you're killing it and you're taking all the nitzasot de Kedusha from it. You could actually have in mind that you see a kelev and you're taking just kill him, right? It's important. Now, so he says over here. Now, why do you get? From where did this kelev come? You have Atzilut, Beriah, Yitzira, Asiya. Under Asiya is called Klipat Noga. Klipat Noga. Now, in the Klipa, in the Yetzirah, he also has Chabad and Vak. But in the Klipa, it's just the opposite. His Vak is more pure than his Chabad. By us, we have to have our Chabad overcome our Vak. By him, his Chabad is called Klipot Kashot. What shoyta Klipot Kashot? You know, there are some things in this world that they're allowed to eat, example, and not allowed to eat. For example, animals. They weren't allowed to be eaten at all, originally. Original, we were vegans.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? Vegans, Jews? Shalom. Sfaradim, they can't eat meat anymore. Oh my God, the world has fallen. Bring me back to the Galut. Okay, so we were. That's how the world was. We weren't allowed to eat meat. So it says. So God then allowed to eat meat after Noah's time. But which animals? Only the pure animals, right? What does it say by Noah? Where do those pure animals come from? They come from the vak of the klipa. But the non-kosher animals come from the gar, like lion, tiger. That's why those animals, they're torif. What do you say they're torif? They're predators. But kosher animals, none of them are predators, right? And all kosher animals have horns. Horns. Oh, moose. No, moose are kosher. No, kosher animals, not the birds. Birds are higher level, right? They're also in the klipa, but they're a higher level, right? Huh? Bulls do. Bull, but they're male and female. Don't mess with me, right? Every animal with giraffes have horns. Rhinos are not a horn; it's a tusk. So don't try to catch me, okay? Tusk is that.
Rhino.
Yeah, rhino. It's not a horn. It's a tusk, right? But a horn is here. We also have horns. You know what's your horn? Not a guy who got hit and suddenly has a shishka. Your tefillin. Your tefillin is your horn. And once a year, we blow the horn for all of Am Yisrael. What is that? Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah. That's why when we don't blow the horn on Rosh Hashanah, it's like we're stopping the tefillin of the whole year. Do you know when we in the Zochreinu Lechaim is the kavanah of tefillin over there? And Rosh Hashanah, yeah, there's a kavanah of tefillin over there. When you don't blow the shofar, you're making. It's either you're so good, it's gonna be good, or it's no blowing the shofar. It's like you're missing a huge shefa over there. Then suddenly, a lot of stuff come. Anyways, haba ala goya yidgalge. So he says yidgalge. So he says, what does it mean kshabu hakelev? Yidgalge achar moto bakelev. He's gonna come in a gilgul as a dog. This is the Ari, it's not some story. The guy died and suddenly the family saw the dog running to the house. Many stories like that. But I'm giving you from the source over here. Yidgalgel bakelev, it says over here. And that's why Yosef HaTzadik, it says by him the pasuk, inu, they made him suffer. What happened after the whole story with Potiphar's wife? Bekevel raglo. In Tehillim it says. They tied him up, bekevel. How do you say kevel? What's a kevel? A iron shackles. Kevel is also the letters kelev. Says the Ari over here, I'm going to make it short for you. He was ready to do the Avera with her. He was ready. He was done. And he was supposed to come back as a kelev. But what happened at the last second, his father's image, which is Ora Chochmah, came and was mevatel the klipa for him. So instead of him being with her, it just came out of him. But since he wanted to already, he was already ready to do it, he needed a mida keneged mida. For every drop that came out of him, 1 year in jail he was. In iron shackles. So instead of the kelev, he got a lower. He got the kevel. And that's why the tikkun for being with a goya is to fast for 1 day and you have to be tied up in the iron shackles.
Wow.
Like we did here once in a while. We took the iron thing, the iron wire, and we tied everybody up. I mean, don't take it the wrong way. It's not what you think it is, all right? Relax. And we just, it's symbolic, right? And a person sits like this, he finishes Tehillim. We try to finish Tehillim twice at least, right? And we say the pasuk, Inu b'kevel raglo barzel ba'an nafsho. Ah, you remember it. Kol hakavod. Okay, so anyway, I want to end with this over here. Just 2 more minutes. What's the secret? So how does so we're talking about our body, the Torah. I hope I didn't go too much off topic. I think I was a bit on track, but a bit off a little here and there. Says Rabbeinu Ha'ari that the Torah is higher than the mitzvoth. Why? By learning Torah, the Torah is the neshama in all the 248 limbs. That means doing a mitzvah is like making a limb. The blood and the lymphatic system inside your body, the white and the red, is the chasadim and the gvurot in the Torah. So by hearing Torah shebichtav, by hearing it, that's how they used to learn Torah back then. There was no books back then. There was only one book. Torah shebichtav, you're fixing your red system in your body, your blood system, and you're fixing your lymphatic system, which is also connected to your immune system in your body, the white part. That's the chasadim and the gvurot in the Torah. And then that's why the Ari says after you finish praying and you heard the Torah on Mondays and Thursdays, right away, what do you have to do? You have to connect the Torah shebichtav with the Torah sheba'al peh. You got to open up a Chok L'Yisrael, say something, a Mishnah, a Gemara, say something, a halakha, right? Tana de Be'eliyahu, so say something, say 1 2 halachot, connect the Torah shebichtav. See, the whole Torah and our whole day is revolving around a complete human being. That when you get to the end of the day, guys, and you go to sleep finally, your neshama won't have that barrier to go up to Shamayim. And then when it goes up to Shamayim, B'ezrat Hashem, it gets more powers, and it comes back down, and you're not the same person you were yesterday. You're a totally new human being. So you're like that guy who just grows up one day, and like, I don't want to watch this nonsense anymore. But you grow in a more faster rate, right? And you grow. Suddenly, you don't have a ta'ava for this, ta'ava for that. You just want to learn Torah. You want. Now, what's the problem? And I've seen this happening with a lot of kids, younger kids. I'm talking below 25, because today till 26 is a kid. He says, what happened is they fly too fast, and then they trip, and they don't know yet how to trip. And when they trip. And they don't trip so hard, but for them it's cataclysmic. And they break a leg, and they don't know how to get up, and then they stay there for a very long time. So every time a person wants to grow, he has to have a right guidance. Okay? You can't do calculus if you don't know basic math. You know what I mean? Hamevin yavin, as they say. You can't start, like one guy texts me. He's, I'm not going to say, maybe he listens to this. So, he texts me, he lives somewhere out there in the, I don't know, in the Midwest. I want to do Kavanot HaRashash, he tells me. I said, where are you? Where is Kavanot HaRashash? Do you know how to read a daf of Gemara? What's Kavanot HaRashash? Do you do at least 2 hours of Torah? I didn't tell him like this straight up. But I said, I don't think Kavanot HaRashash is for you. You gotta build your shririm first. You can't start bench pressing 250. You can't even pick up 30-pound weights. Am I right or no? So you have to build the kli first, and that's why, no matter how many tikkunim you do, that means you have a kli, right? It's a small kli, and it had a crack in it. What did you do? You made a tikkun. You put a filling inside. Each tikkun is another filling. It's a filling, right? And then suddenly you want a lot. And you put in a whole bottle of those Poland Spring 2 liters. You throw in the whole, what's going to happen to this? And one shot, boom, it's going to break. So you fixed your kli. Now you have to make the kli bigger. Right? That's why the Gemara says, it took 40 years for Moshe Rabbeinu to give Zamichanya to Am Yisrael. 40 years! The Gemara says why? They weren't mature enough to understand him yet. From here, the Gemara says to understand your Rebbe takes 40 years. Once you're going to be 40 years old, then you're going to start to understand what your Rebbe said 40 years ago. Same thing with parents too. Like, people grow up, suddenly they get to 40, 50, like, oh, my parents were right back in the day. you know. And then when you're older, you told us, you're gonna say that I'm right. But he's so immature. His vak is so in control of his Chabad. He cannot allow himself to understand that idea yet. Go to school. Wake up. Be productive. I just want to play Fortnite all night. Yeah, man, seniors playing Fortnite till 5 a.m. And what you tell them, don't do it. Do pull. You're not gonna. Older people are playing it. 50 years old, 80 years old. Do you know people today, 60 years old, getting tattoos? Midlife crisis is 40, not 60. 60 already, 3 steps away from the grave. And he's 60 years old. He's getting tattoos, and he's going to the gym trying to show off his shirim. Did you imagine what's going on in this world today? Why? We have so much ta'ava. The vak is so in control of the Chabad. It's so in control. We have to learn how to take the Chabad in control of the vak. And make sure that our kelim are big enough to take it. So the Gemara says, no matter how much the calf wants to drink the milk from the mother, from the mother cow, the cow wants to give more. But the cow knows how much milk to give to the calf. Right, that's the point of a mashpia. Okay? So over here, the Ben Ish Chai says a couple of amazing things. For example, the Ben Ish Chai writes that in your body, I'm not going to read it to you inside, but if you guys want to see it, it's at the end of Torah Lishma of Rabbeinu Ben Ish Chai. He writes over there that a human body is so connected to the upper worlds that there's even hints in how your body looks like, and you could find out, for example, how you're connected to which part of the upper worlds. For example, do you realize when a person grows a beard? Now, according to the Sod, a person has to grow a beard. It's a must. Because that's called the Yad Tikunei Dikna, as we taught. Kel, Rachum, Vechanun. That's your beard. But you know, there are 2 kinds of beards. One is called the beard of the Vak, and one is the beard of the Chabad. What's the difference? One has 9 parts to it, one has 13 parts to it. So one of the parts in the Chabad's beard is that under in the mustache in the middle, where you have that engraving over there, where you see the angel touches you, it's without hair. It's kind of like, So says the Ben Ish Chai, pay attention, most people in the world, they have hair all over. It even grows over there. But you find sometimes some people that they actually have an empty space over there in the middle. It's very rare, he writes. That person who's missing that hair in the middle over here, he actually has a very high level beard. It shows that his neshama is connected to the Yud Gimel Tikunei Dikna de Arich Anpin. He writes that over there in the book Torah Lishma. And he writes over there, for example, there are some people that they always create a lot of saliva, their salivary glands, even in the summer when it's dry outside, they have very, very wet mouths. They always got to spit, like there's always saliva in their mouth. Why are people like that? He writes, in Shamayim, there's 2 kinds of zivugs. Zivug de Yesod sheba Yesod, and then there's zivug de Nishikin. Some people's neshamot, they're created through the zivug of malachim, which is called zivug de Nishikin. That's why when they're born, they can't help it. Their mouth just keeps on creating that saliva because their neshama comes from zivug de Nishikin. Look how every part of our body, and he talks about the yesod, he talks about a person, how come a person likes to write in small letters, how come a person likes to write in big letters, how come a person, all these things for a Jew is connected to what he's connected to in Shamayim. And if a person could figure all these things out, and he's willing and wanting to change, he could make his kli so big that he'll mamash turn into a Navi. As we're going to end with this, Tana Dabe Eliyahu. Eliyahu Navi says, I swear, he writes, in Tana Dabe Eliyahu. Eliyahu Navi. Ish or Isha, man or a woman, even an Eved, even a slave, everything according to his Ma'asim, he could reach Ruach HaKodesh. And we all be Zocher, B'zat Hashem Yitbarach, לישועות גדולות, פרנסה, רפואה, ביד משיח צדקנו, החזרת כל החטופים בזמן השם יתברך, we win the word, this Adar בזמן השם יתברך, we be Zocher, always to be מקיים את מחיית זכר עמלק, ברוך ה' לעולם, אמן ואמן, רבי יחנן בן קשיא אומר עצה.